Welcome back to Sunrise Daily, and we're now keeping our focus on something not too different, still to do with the conduct of the elections, and we're now being joined by Colonel Yomi Dare, a security consultant, of course, and of course he is indeed a former director, Army Legal Services. Thank you for joining us on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you very much, Jimbo, for having me on board.
You have watched and seen how the elections went up till this time. That we've had a situation, sadly so, that we've had some states that are inconclusive, and INEC is determined to go through the process and ensure that those states have their governors, as voted by the people, declared. But what do you see as sense, in a nutshell, about the conduct of the military during the elections?
Well, when you say conduct of the military during the election, during the last election, that is this, I mean, the election that...
yes, the presidential and the governorship election.
Yes, the governorship election. Well, the military, you have the pre-election period, you have the election period, and then we will have the post-election period, which is more or less what is going on right now. One thing I want to say clearly here is that for me, the role of the military is defined in Section 2172, subsection C of the 1999 Constitution as amended. And if you read it into line, it says, suppressing insurrection and acting in aid of civil authority when called upon by the president. Okay? So the military has a role to play. So it's not as if the military...
In the elections or in civil authority, in civil life?
Well, what is the election? The election is part of our life.
Okay.
It is part of our life. And whether we like it or not, our democracy is still work in progress. We are still polishing it. It is not yet uhuru. So, especially in African countries, if you look back, say for example, it's not only in Nigeria that you have military participating or taking part in politics. I mean, in elections, okay? I mean, look at, we had a similar case in 1996, in 2006, I think the Venezuelan presidential election, well, the military did take part in that election. But the only problem they had was in the chain of command because the military refused to take instructions from the civilian.
That's really, because that's actually been something I've been very, very interested in. There is that interagency, consultative, whatever that INEC put together for, you know, the security apparatus of state, just for the elections.
Yes.
It was clear from all communication from INEC that the lead agency is the police.
Yes.
Had other agencies, military and paramilitary, customs, immigration, road safety, NSCDC itself, as well as some of the military.
Yes.
Now, it was clear who was supposed to be. At least the military was, well, military is an arm-bearing, you know, agency of government. But any arm-bearing agency is not supposed to be within the close corridor of the polling units and all of that, collation centers. But we found a situation where, I mean, there are allegations that, you know, that happened. In this kind of, you know, situation that we find ourselves, who should lead? Shouldn't it be the police? And then where the police is the lead agency, how should the chain of command look?
Now, that's a very good one. Now, let's break it down. For the electoral process itself, okay, that's a different ballgame. And then handling insurrection and crisis is a different ballgame in itself. Now, when we look at for the electoral body, we have the electoral management body, okay?
Which is INEC.
Which is INEC.
Okay.
And INEC should be the leading agency here.
Okay.
Okay, because INEC is in charge. All right?
Okay.
And then in insurrection and management of crisis, the front line is the police. And when the police cannot cope with the situation, they call in the military.
They call in the military. So the military should listen to the police. Is that what you're saying?
No, well, should listen should wait to be called in.
Okay.
And once they are called in, they take charge.
What if they are not called in?
If they are not called in, they have to be called in. I mean, it's a laid down thing. Even the police knows they know that themselves. It's a drill. Okay. It's a drill.
Was the army called in River State when we saw the presence of the army at the polling unit?
At the polling unit, well, I cannot say off cuff here, okay? But for the military to have come in, there must be justification for it. There must be justification for it. You see, let's not pretend over things. We have crisis here. Situation whereby you have people snatching ballot boxes. Is that the policeman? We don't even have enough policemen to police our society, our community.
We'll come back to that,
Yes.
Colonel Larry, but, you know, there's been this back and forth between the police and the INEC, you know, INEC and the public, INEC and the army and all of that. On the one hand, INEC said yesterday, look, we did not, you know, 2 days ago and yesterday corroborated on our show that they did not call in the military to come to the collation centers. But there are reports from, you know, visually gathered as well, that soldiers were seen, or at least human beings in military uniform were seen at collation centers.
Yes.
How do you respond to that?
Well, it depends on, well, I do know that before the elections, I read reports that the military authority warned military men to stay away from election, from polling booths.
Okay.
I mean, I read that quite well. But again, don't also take away the fact that in this same country, we had reports of people, you know, illegally importing arms, people illegally bringing in military kits and uniforms. Do you understand? So, I mean, there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of security.
Do you
That
think
is beefing up our borders, you know, managing our security, or the porous borders and all the leakages we have.
But you also,
in order to reduce, you know, the
Insurrection.
Yes, insurrection.
you were aware that because you watched the whole process, and there has been huge voter apathy. One of the reasons was because the military had its presence in areas where it wasn't supposed to be. Do you think that the military, for instance, played a major role in saying that the elections subversion, to a good degree, can be pinned on the military to say, because of your presence, people felt scared, people felt unsafe to actually go out on election day to vote?
Well, I have read reports, just like, you know, you have been also getting some of these reports. I mean, I think it will not be fair, you know, to put it at the door or the foot of the military that because of the military presence, you know, maybe not directly at the polling booths, but maybe, you know, show of military force, you know, that people refuse to come out to vote. I believe that should even give people the confidence to come out because, you know, there's protection for them. You see, it's an irony. It's a sad irony because I think the military, they are putting in some effort, but I think they still need to do a lot of job in terms of awareness so that the people,
What kind of awareness will that be?
Well, maybe more civil military relationship, you know, so that people will have more confidence, you know, in the military to be able to close their eyes and say, okay, I mean, this is our military,
Okay.
you know, because I see some apathy also in that area.
You know, the governor of River State came out when he casted his vote to say that he's not comfortable and he feels that the presence of the military was a threat to his people. And it turns out at the end of the day that the elections in River State even had got to a level it became inconclusive as well. But if you look at the submissions of the governor, the actions of the military, and what the president said, that go out there and deal with miscreants and ballot box snatchers decisively. If the president had, after the presidential elections, withdrawn his statement, say, the army retracts to your main positions at the ferry, would that have helped the situation?
Well, I don't think to be fair for the president to come out to say, especially after his own election, to say that they should withdraw to the periphery. I mean, the military is out there to serve everybody, so not only the president.
So the presence of the military then did, in a way, stop people from going out to vote?
Well, I personally, I don't want to accept that. You understand? Because come to think of it, there are sensitive materials to be escorted. There are very, very volatile, non-volatile areas where ballot box snatching is prevalent. But you can see that